Morning everyone. AJP. Follow me. This way first. Let's begin. Guys, on a very serious note, on a personal note, I want to wish everybody who's affected by the coronavirus, whether that's medically or from a business point of view, families. I know it's a really tough time. Everybody is sort of either cramped at home, businesses affected. It reminds me of swine flu and bird flu, and you know, every couple of years there's always some sort of a scare in the world. We don't really have the answers, but got to keep fighting, keep it strong, stay in touch with yourselves, be safe, and be happy. And from India's point of view, let me tell you all, friends, family, customers, all of you out there, we're all open, doing all right, chugging along. Yeah, things aren't great, but when you look at things like this, a beautiful G55, you start to feel better, you know? Nice, big, Kutch Mercedes-Benz in the garage. A real man's car, if you like. Not to say that women can't drive it, but if you've got some strong arms and you're a big lady, then by all means get in there, girl. That's it. So we're going to take you through some of the repairs we've done, why it's a cool car, why all the celebrities love them, why all the rappers love them, why they're in the movies. What's it all about, apart from the shape and the whole stance of the car? What's underneath? Is it interesting? What's going on? Let's check it out, y'all. Come on. Right, so some consumer advice to you all. Regardless of the car that you own, when we think about suspension, when we talk about suspension, the difference in this particular car is you've got your strut, which is your shock, not attached to your spring. Now, usually on most cars, you'll have the spring attached to the strut. So when you remove it from the car, you compress it down with a shock remover, if you like, and pull the spring out, change the shock. 90% of garages, nearly everywhere, would never change the spring because the manufacturer claims that it has what's known as a lifelong threshold, if you like, which I can tell you is complete horseshit, excuse the language. We've had a lot of cars come in that have had really poor suspension, springs have lost their tension, and we've changed them. They're not all that cheap. Typically a spring on a car would cost you anywhere from 40 to 50,000 rupees if it's a Porsche Cayman. The reason I remember that is because we recently did the springs on the Porsche Cayman, not just the shocks. So if you're one of those unfortunate people that have air shocks on your car, I do pity you. I'm very sorry because they are extremely expensive, and for India, they fail. We've done quite a lot of conversions, so a lot of people have decided to go from air shock all the way over to strut and spring. It's a wise decision. Does it make a huge difference? Yes, in the long run, I suppose it does. But as far as keeping your car well maintained is concerned, our Indian roads are not acquainted to dealing with this sort of absorption. Europe is a different matter. But in India, strut and spring on a car, if you're buying a second-hand car, always a good way to go. G55, the best. Now, when we look at the knuckles, you can see clearly that these are now all being cleaned. We've cleaned the actual surface of the knuckle. We've opened these bolts here and we've put a new gasket in and sealant as well to stop it from leaking from the outside. When the car runs, you'll actually see that this won't stay clean because it needs to be lubricated. So you'll actually start to see, after you've got the car done, all the muck and things coming around, so basically grease. So we use a Worth grease, which is very, very good, and it's completely saturated inside. So we've got the boots changed on the inside as well, so this is not going to be leaking again, that's for sure. So, in this particular case, what really fascinates me is the steering system on the car. All right, so you've got your front link here, you've got your this thing here is a steering link. Just go back a bit. This thing is a steering link. Look at the size of that. You know, we spoke about the Knuckle last video, but this is just unbelievable. And there are two. There's one here and there's one over here. This is a new one that we fitted because all the joints and things were cracked. As you can see, these are all new now. There's a new damper shock here as well. So basically, when the steering's turning, all this is moving and working. All these links here, all moving to keep the car planted. What's the significance of that compared to a normal car? The ratio of turn, off-roading ability, it's all set up to do that. Strong, sturdy, and highly maneuverable. Right, so what are we looking at here? Your front differential, all right? Your front diff. What's the purpose of this? How does it work? So your differential, what we call a lock differential here, this is basically what transmits power to your front. All right? Similarly, if we track back, we're looking at your front. This is basically a universal coupler. You've got your propeller shaft here, which is your front, okay? Your propeller shaft, before we get to there, you've got your gearbox here. This is your transmission pan, and this is where your gearbox starts from. So you've got your front prop shaft that goes all the way into this little beauty here, which is the transfer case. Now, the transfer case is what diverts power to the axles. So what actually drives the power is the prop shaft. So we've removed the rear prop shaft here because we need to reseal it. So if you guys come and have a look closer, you can actually see here that we've changed the gearbox mount. This is a brand new gearbox mount, and the significance of doing that is that the vibrations from the gearbox, once the mount actually starts to crack and get brittle, and this one being a rubber one, the engines are hydraulic, but this one being a rubber one, it vibrates. So when you're sitting in the car, if you feel a bit of vibration on your ass and your wife's not in the car, it's probably the gearbox mount. So with regards to transmission power, so as I said, front prop shaft onto your front diff, then your transfer case. Your transfer case is diverting the power. So when you're in 4x4 mode, it will split the power 50-50, all right? If you've got things like on the fly, 2x2 and all that, it's all worked with gears. So you can imagine gears locking all the time, front, rear, down like that. And that's the way it works. So we've got the propel shed off today because it's leaking. We're also redoing the transmission oil gasket. We've also got a lot of seals for the transfer case to do, basically stopping all, sure that this car runs properly. So as we go all the way to the back, this is your rear propel shaft, as I said, into your diff, and this is your rear diff, all right, which connects power down to the rear of the car. And that's about it.